Thank you, Yola. A number of guests duly introduced by fellows beg leave to attend your meeting. Is it your pleasure that I welcome them in your name? Thank you. Apologies for the late start today, and thanks to our technical team at the back who've solved the problem. Minutes.
Ordinary meeting, Thursday the 9th of October 2025, Burlington House and online. Professor Martin Millett, President in the chair. The minutes of the summer miscellany of Thursday the 19th of June 2025 were read and signed. The General Secretary read the names of candidates for ordinary fellowship who are on the ballot, closing on Thursday the 16th of October. The following communication was then laid before the Society. Millionaire Shopping, The Collections of Alfred Morrison by Professor Caroline Dacres, FSA. Thanks were returned for this communication. The President announced that the next meeting would be on Thursday the 16th of October and then adjourned the meeting. A reception followed.
Is it your pleasure that I sign these minutes as a true record, having corrected General Secretary to Honorary Secretary? Thank you. Elections.
The following candidates for fellowship were elected today, Thursday, 16th of October. I am reading the short version of the blue paper. The full version is available now for inspection on the Fellows platform. Thomas Daniel Michael Ashley, head of Cathedral and Major Church Buildings at the Church of England. Catherine Batt, researcher of magnetic properties of archaeological materials. Julie Bond, archaeologist, associate professor at the University of Bradford. John Paxton Buglas, freelance archaeologist. Eugene Chung, computer scientist. Timothy Clifford, retired art historian, former Director General of the National Gallery of Scotland. Richard Fattorini, independent consultant, rare books and manuscripts. Chris Ferguson, museum and project director, Ad Geffrin Anglo-Saxon Museum and Distillery. Amy Frost, senior curator of Bath Preservation Trust. Taya Gigo, lecturer in the history of art, materials and technology. Molly Lowell Borthwick, philanthropist, honorary keeper at Fitzwilliam Museum. Ramita Ray, associate professor, art history, Syracuse University. William Sherman, master arrowsmith and Fletcher. Susan Whitfield, historian, professor of Silk Road Studies at the Sainsbury Institute and University of East Anglia.
Thank you. We now come to the main business of this evening's meeting, which is to hear our lecture. Our lecturer this evening is Professor Abubakar Sani Sule, who did his PhD at the University of East Anglia in 2013 and is Professor of African Archaeology at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, Nigeria. He also holds a very distinguished visiting professorship, British Academy Global Professorship at the University of East Anglia, where he's been for the last 18 months or so. He's a field archaeologist, educator, and collections management researcher. He's interested in settlement history, material culture, and the development of northern Nigeria over the last millennium, drawing on field and oral sources. His key recent book in the imprints of Archaeology of Northern Nigeria was published in 2021, combining ethnographic and historical work on the Bauchi region of northern Nigeria. His lecture this evening is Western African Communities Past and Present, seen through the Nigerian and British Museum collections. Welcome.
If you permit, let me discharge with the protocols before the technology is set up with an appreciation for that fantastic, generous introduction, about me. But it's a huge pleasure for me to be at the Society of Antiquaries space to talk about my research. And it's a research that is funded by the British Academy, under the brand of the British Academy Global Professorship, awarded to me for a project on past and present West African communities, at least for 4 years. I have spent 1 year, and I have 3 more years to go. And the basis for this conversation actually is to talk about what we have achieved over the years. So it's a huge privilege for me to have been given this space and platform to share with you about what I've been doing over the years. So, and in the course of, you realize, well, as a professor of archaeology, but we've been digging and excavating museum collections. So it's another kind of archaeology that I will be talking to you over the next 50 minutes. The project recognizes challenges with doing archaeology in Africa. And I don't want to pretend that, the work is about West Africa, but I'm paying particular attention to West Africa using Nigeria as my case study. And I recall 13 years ago, we published an article, Azania, with Professor Ann Hoare, and we prescribed that why can't we pay attention to, as archaeologists, looking at materials that are collected and dumped in the archives of storage depending on the situation, sometimes 200 years. So we were attracted to a region in Nigeria, Bama, the Baha Mound in the Niger Valley. And 10 years after, it's a huge privilege that I secured this grant that is privileging me and us to revisit that problem. So it's archaeology through the prism of the institutional spaces that we've been talking about. And what are we? What do we want to achieve? Apart from the traditional approach, to what extent can we rely on museum collections to talk about the past political and social structure? It's a question. We've been approaching it differently, but we have seen a lot of possibilities to approach it using museum collections that have been kept. This is 2025. The technology of the moment, the scientific techniques that are available to us as researchers, as archaeologists, as people that interrogate material culture to tell a story about the past is quite enormous and quite promising. So we realize that a lot has happened in terms of biography, in terms of institutional and even international relations that recognizes colonial administration that connects Nigeria and Britain and many West African communities. That relationship defined practice, privileged British to operate in different terrains. And so methodological approach to came up as a result of that. And we recognize that materials are everywhere in terms of archaeological, ethnographic, even written records, archival, and what have you, that we can revisit to see how we can tell another story from a different point of view. So this project, I think, gives another promise for us to interrogate the collections, the documentation system, and not just for improvement, but to see how we can use Nigeria as a key study to talk about West Africa as a people with complex history about settlement and what have you. We recognize that a lot has happened over the past centuries. In the case of Nigeria, we recognize that one of the quite pioneering archaeological researches by Hallam Oya Palmer in the northeastern part of Nigeria, Chad Basin to be precise. They were explorers. but they surveyed, the cultural landscape, and they gave us a hint, from that moment about what to expect. And this is more than 100 years after. And we are seeing so much from it, and we recognize, what Graham Corner has done, Thurston Shaw, in the Chad Basin, in Benin, and other part of Nigeria. But I can't pretend at this point my particular interest is northern Nigeria, for a reason, because it's guided by the geography and distinctive vegetation cover and history that connects people and continents. And then we realize that the Trans-Sahara, the Sahara was a huge barrier, but it privileged movement across over time, and people move with ideas, and what they had, and they exchange. And so we have a lot to appreciate and talk about, in terms of connectivity, at a very large scale. But so much has been published. We recognize that, and but we are paying attention to those other sites and archaeological phenomena that have not been written or published. So there are a lot of opportunities, I think, connecting with publications of the last 50, 100 years, and the material culture that are available for us to interrogate now and tell a new story about that. But we recognize what has been done is a strong foundation that we are building upon. But as a country, Nigeria, a lot has been done archaeologically in Chad Basin. And but other regions, I think, are coming up, evolving. But then we have a good framework, I think, to make comparison and talk about. My talk, I think, will be more panoramic, moving from one area to the other. I can't cover Nigeria or West Africa at, during an hour talk. But then we recognize that, the material culture says a lot, about stone producing and using people, from a period, different times, and then moving to Iron Age, and then the recent past, and so much happened. So as we talk about the archaeology of Nigeria, we are talking about different period, context, and what have you. But we have something that is tangible that we can talk about. If we talk about, for instance, the Chad Basin, we know there is something that is near complete. Graham Corner has done a fantastic work. He has created a sequence that is nearly over 1,000 years that present evidence of iron using people, and iron as well, with different kind of materiality and what have you. And then coming to the Jos Plateau region, we have fantastic evidence, body of resources to talk about stone using communities, and it's quite rich in terms of the museums in Nigeria and the British Museum collections to do with these people. But then we can't escape talking about the medieval societies, the Hausa city-states, in northern Nigeria, they thrive more from 13th, 14th centuries to 16th centuries, and they are people that are famous in constructing city walls. And but we have evidence about the oldest settlement from the Chad Basin, the Zulum, excavated by a team of archaeologists from the Frankfurt University, headed by Peter Brunig. They did a fantastic work. Perhaps not part of the collection that I'm looking at, because their research happened the last 10 years, 15, and many of the collections I'm looking at have been acquired over the last 100 years or so. I mentioned this, that we value bodies of evidence archaeological, ethnographic, archival. Yeah, we know the written texts are quite problematic, but then, yeah, they are quite prominent and promising, especially for the Chad Basin, yeah, where the famous Kanem-Borno tribe, they have written records that tells a story about accounting, about tax system, about population and demography running over 1,000 years. So as we look at the last 1,000 years, yeah, I think we are much more confident we are relying on that. Otherwise, it's the material culture, yeah, from the excavations, and then the ethnography, because the Hausa communities, cities, states, yeah, for instance, yeah, they have left huge body of knowledge, yeah, in the memory of people. And then oral tradition is quite helpful in that regard. And then, yeah, the research, I think, yeah, scoped its way to decided to pay attention to four museums. Why the four museums? We have a history of museology or museum practice that developed over the last 100 years. Casey Murray, yeah, came up with a profile, a protocol of preserving objects, but his engagement with Bernard Fack, yeah, led them, I think, to pay attention to creation of museums. And so Department of Antiquities evolved, that we now have the National Commission for Museums and Monuments is the state party that manages the issues of antiquities here in Nigeria, research, collections, protection, management, and what have you. Yeah, it's rested with them. And then we know that with the construction of not the first museum after Ishe, but another museum, the second, perhaps after the National Museum Lagos, Bernard Fack, who started as an administrator with the colonial administration, collected a lot and he picked interest to that. So he constructed the Jos Museum, and it was commissioned by Dent 1952, before Nigeria's independence. They collected enough good samples of materials from all ethnicities, but then they created a research protocol to understand, yeah, the Nigerian region. So they built a collection, and today, the whole of West Africa, we've been writing and talking about the Jos Museum. It has the largest collection, yeah, in terms of archaeology, yeah, globally. And yeah, we recognize, yeah, after that, the two other museums owned by universities, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, that started in 1962, yeah, supported researches of international scholars, and they did John Sutton, a famous British archaeologist, yeah, yeah, was hosted there for more than a decade. He studied the peoples and communities of northern Nigeria. He excavated sites, yeah, in collaboration with colleagues, yeah, across, yeah, the nation. So they built, yeah, a good number of, yeah, collections that are available for our research today. And the University of Ibadan, in terms of, yeah, ownership, yeah, apart from the National Museum, they have the highest in terms of volume archaeological collections. Thurston Shaw, yeah, yeah, became the first head of department of its Department of Archaeology and Anthropology. So he led the Ibo Uku excavations in Benin and other part of Nigeria, but he paid attention as well to some sites in the Niger Valley, and they collected enormous, promising data, I think, that are available to us. In terms of quantity and time period, is quite useful for my research. And then, of course, coming back to, yeah, the British Museum, we are with, centuries, yeah, of contact and connection with Nigeria. They have acquired enormous, yeah, resources, yeah, that we've been looking at. Yeah, and I'm delighted tomorrow to be even Dr. Sam Nixon guest, yeah, interrogating the materials and yeah, reviewing, yeah, methodology and what kind of statement they have. So why picking these 4 museums, I think, is informed by the value of what they have and the fact that they are quite promising for the this project. What are we interested in? Appreciating politics, appreciating cultural development, appreciating social development, quite complex, societies, urbanism, and what have you. This materials, holds the key for it. And so far we have built, I think, an inventory of sites, through the records, through the archives, that we've been interacting with, some with clarity, some with different layers, of knowledge and information. But we now know that NOC is quite priceless. We now know that the river Niger Valley, is quite promising, because the river and its channel attracted human population, quite early in time. And we have signatures to interrogate, because today, we know there are huge mounds that accumulated over time. And the mounds, are textbooks, for us to interrogate, to know what happened, through history. And we know, of course, but there are some overlaps. Sometimes you have materials that are similar, that tells similar story in the British Museum and at Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. So we are synchronizing and trying to create a line of story about this complex people and population, over time, that we're interested, about, and then I was privileged, a project called REOC, a ICROM branded project that allowed me to make an impact, to look at space, and, well, basically a preventive archaeology approach that brought me closer to the storage situation across the country. And we selected 12 museums, 2 specialized, one belonging to Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and the University of Ibadan, but the 10 others belong to National Museum. So they provided different challenges in terms of space, in terms of conservation. And that inspired me to think, as an archaeologist, a field archaeologist, to say there are a lot of potential in paying attention to what has been collected and done before now, to say that, oh, perhaps museum archaeology could be a thing. And then British Academy, I think so. So what about the museums now, the 4 museums that I collected? Yes, the Jos Museum, is quite fantastic in terms of ethnographic and archaeological materials. But I mentioned that they have the highest in terms of numbers and quantity, from my knowledge, the whole of West Africa. And they have materials from even neighboring countries and what have you. The NOC, you can see, but ethnographic materials from the 530 ethnic groups of Nigeria and neighboring countries, all there. So they give us data about different periods, episodes, and what have you, to interrogate. So the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria Research Museum, but with a lot of opportunities, as I mentioned as well. Today we talk about the Kanem-Borno Empire, for instance. We have the huge data from the bone brick site of Gamboru in the Roma Kanem-Borno, the last capital of Kanem-Borno. And the Zaria present such kind of opportunities, and stone objects, terracottas and what have you, of different meaning. And then the University of Ibadan, with huge in terms of botany, in terms of paleontology and what have you. But for this research, we're paying attention to sites that are scattered in northern Nigeria. But then we're talking about the savannah. But then in terms of human interaction, it's quite diverse, because it talks about connection with the Northern Africa, for instance, much more than any other But then what about the issues of the Nok culture, the issues of iron smelting, terracotta, and what have you? Yeah, this museum, I think, present quite a lot. But even the Daima sequence, that is the site with the longest duration periodization that we know today. And Chad Basin presented that. And then, we can't ignore University of Ibadan collection. And then the British Museum, with different kind of, that tells a lot about the cultural landscape, and that challenge us to look at methodologies of appreciating time and context, within, because the collection histories, of all the institution differs. And but it gave us, quite, intense and huge opportunities, for the project, I think, to talk about communities that have been ignored or that are going into no longer, that people are beginning to forget. So the archives of the British Museum, I think, has, so that is the reason. Chad Basin. Anybody speaking as an archaeologist, West Africa, I think, must pay attention to this. And you can see the work of, the Diamond Mound, Graham Corner. And he published what I just showed you previously, the 3,000 years of man in Africa. And it gave, site specifics, but paid attention to all the periods. And now we know, a lot. And this project helped to build on what he has done. And then appreciating the recent collaborative research project between the Frankfurt University and National Museums, in Nigeria, and University of Maiduguri, of course. So we have new dates, we have new materials and what have you. So building on what he has done, but it's quite noble, his 3,000 years of man. And then we now appreciate stone using people, iron using people, but then we know Chad Basin is quite complicated. The mega chart, after it's, something happened, it supported huge mass of people, but 3,000 years ago, when it shrunk, the organized people around the waters, had to find, ways of, survival. So this pull and push, people moving to other areas, I think, but then social organization, political system developed thanks to the body of water. And so we have, that chain, of data that talks about different periods that we are talking about. But then we know that Chad Basin is a place of interest even today. That is where Britain, French, and Germany met. The only part of Nigeria where all the, at some point in the Kwa. And we know the story of the Rabi Fadel Allah, the Sudanese, military commander that mobilized, to conquer people and set up, a military capital somewhere. But that's a story for another day. But then we can appreciate, I think, other isolated archaeological materials. The famous Dufuna Canoe, 8,000-year-old Dufuna Canoe, and is the third oldest boat in Yobe. It's on the fringes, western fringes of the Chad Basin. So after the demise of the water bodies, the mega Chad, it became habitable. But then it provided, different character for archaeologists, and Graham Corner, captured that, and later I think we'll appreciate, the opportunities from that. And what kind of material, exotic materials of everyday use, materialities about complex social order, politics, and what have you, but at perhaps continental level. So it's something that we're looking at the technologies, from the bones, harpoons, and what have you, but terracotta making and figurines making, was quite revealing, but certainly a different character with the Nok culture terracottas that we are all familiar with. They are quite miniature, tiny, yeah, in terms of character, but we know the elitist, yeah, kind of materials and the grave goods, yeah, that came from that, yeah, are things that tells a lot, yeah, about people of different hierarchy and standing in the society over time. And so now we know that where the water body gave way, yeah, people afterward, yeah, put their settlements, but then the embankment and the mounds supported yeah, human occupation at some point, yeah, when the water were flooding, yeah, that area, but it has presented a character now that we can define, yeah, the settlement system, yeah, of the Chad Basin. And then, yeah, then let's, I think, move, yeah, like 300 kilometers, yeah, westward to the Nok cultural area. That's quite a popular region because they are well known and famous for two things. In terms of terracotta, fantastic and ingenious production of that. For what purpose? There are issues that we're still engaging for ritual, for, yeah, personification of certain things, deification and what have you. Yeah, they have presented, yeah, a lot, yeah, of questions. We don't have the answers at this point, but then we're still exploring. But they tell, as art historians, yeah, understand many things, yeah, about connection and use of space, adaptation, and what have you. So they leave a footprint for us, yeah, to talk about many things. And yeah, categorized in different epochs. But then we recognize that after Chad Basin, Peter Brunig and the Frankfurt University, I think, shifted research interests, and they are improving and perfecting, yeah, the understanding of the periodization, yeah, in terms of technological development, human occupation, and what have you. But yeah, they are fantastic. Why not? In terms of iron smelting, a lot of debates, yeah, that as if they are the first producers of iron globally, but it's quite contentious. But that's the simplistic, yeah, submission we can make about iron production, that it started, iron smelting started in Nok, that perhaps the terracotta production started, yeah, because they could subject, yeah, their clay and what have you to certain temperature. And then, yeah, we have this strong, yeah, bed clays, yeah, that have the test of time, and they are powerful data, yeah, for us today. And they are enabling us to make statement about settlement system, about population, yeah, interaction over different period of time. So yeah, thanks to Peter Brunig's team, but we know Bernard Fark and his daughter, Angela, worked a lot. They excavated sites in yeah, the Taruga. Sopa as well, yeah, did quite a lot. But then this is a terrain that is quite complex in terms of diversity and length. It covers from Katsina Ala, yeah, in the western side of the River Niger, to as far as Sokoto, part of, yeah, because the lands, cultural landscape provided different archaeological data, and now we are framing and understanding the character, diversity, and differences in the terracotta figurines, yeah, that we encounter on the mounds, on the cultural space, yeah, that we interrogate. But the Nok cultural area, Kaduna, is quite famous for people that knows Nigeria. The whole of the federal capital territory in Abuja sits at the core of yeah, the Nok cultural region. But even the Jos Plateau that we talk about when we're talking about stone technology and what have you, yeah, actually operates within the region. But something I think that we should have mentioned before, maybe for your attention, is to know that maybe at some point, how did archaeology begin in Nigeria? Quite accidental. Yeah, mining activity that took place around the paddocks of the Jos Plateau inspired the curiosity of the owners finding different kind of cultural materials of interest, and inspired them to interact with people with art history background and bias. And this accidental scenario, I think, actually triggered the evolution of archaeology in Nigeria. But then we'll talk about flooding as well when we come to Niger, the Niger Valley, where the construction of the mega hydro dam in Nigeria inspired the administrators to mobilize people with interest in archaeology to quickly rescue anything that could come. So I see these two things happening, and as a powerful things that aided the evolution of, is it archaeology? Is it things to do with, they were not trained, not all of them were trained, but then there is a pattern that we can see about what the archaeology practice, the theoretical direction and agenda that's happening connected to this accidental. Well, perhaps it's something that is global. There are many places that's how archaeology began. And as we say, what we hear about the NOC today is the terracotta figurines, but the iron smelting and different departments and research institutions are paying attention to, but each with its research interests and agenda. But then, I think quite a problematic situation, because they are vendors' material, different from those that came from archaeological context, where we know the provenance and what have you. They are usually collected and taken to universities through the, to the National Museum. National Museums of Nigeria is created by Decree 77 of 1979, is the state party. So the responsibility of anything archaeology rests with them. So anything of antiquity, archaeological importance, is taken to the museum. So, but there is a compensation protocol that allows people to hand in what they have. So in terms of value, they possess a different kind of, but we can't throw them away because they possess certain things. But then we have to do forensics to determine context and other issues. But we have huge quantum of materials coming through this agency, the vendors who are accredited agents of the National Museum to provide. So sometimes surface materials, sometimes from problematic digging and what have you. But this is an interesting thing for the NOC culture region over this time to appreciate what is happening today. We are talking about something of interest, the Hattel, shortly around the period of the Nigerian Civil War, excavated in 1968. He started the Department of Archaeology at University of Nsukka, Nigeria, but then he moved for certain reasons to the Niger Valley, and he was inspired by what SOPA did before, and paid attention to about 23 sites he surveyed, but he excavated selected ones based on the resources and time that he had. But as I mentioned before, it set a research agenda for today. And I'll come back to this later. And of particular interest, I think, is the Bahamount that we're paying particular attention with Anhoa today. And different kind of resources about domesticity and state formation and what have you, but consumption of aquatic resources and what have you over time. And and so Bahamount is of particular interest for us. And then you have elitist materials coming to bear, copper, bronze materials and what have you from burial in situ, and with other kind of signature. But the pottery, fantastic. They possess from typologies that are quite inspiring for us to understand material production at other part of Nigeria. So the bracelets sites from the textile production that you can decipher through spindle wool and what have you, the elitist beads of different shapes and materials of interest and what have you. And so I mentioned something about our particular forensic interest on a site that was excavated with highly resourceful material culture, but was never published for a reason that we don't know. Donald Hartle, maybe it's an opportunity for us to ask this question. Who knows? He's still elusive. He was privileged to be in Nigeria to excavate this site. But after that, not much is known. So we are subjecting some of the materials from the burial that tells a lot about the diverse settlement system that existed to see if we can publish. So revisiting the materials and what have you, and collaborating with colleagues at Cambridge, Cyprus, and what have you, to see how we appreciate the material nature of the this problematic object from the Hartle's excavation that was done in 1968. So in terms of materials, nature of the materials, bronze materials, bone tools, human remains, and what have you. So we are looking at what we can within the privileged time that we have to do that. So subjecting the new science and methodology into what we have. Then let's move to something that is closer in terms of time and space. Today, northern Nigeria, Hausa is the dominant language and ethnic group in northern Nigeria, but to appreciate what it means is something else. And I know Anhoa and Benedetta Rossi published Being and Becoming Hausa. There are over 60 million people now scattered across West African state, but having northern Nigeria as the home base, as the roots of the houses today. And what is particular about this is the fact that defensive walls or city walls is a signature about them. So, and where the last three capitals of the Cannibal had this, but today we know Zazzau, Kano, the famous Kano, where Dangote, the richest African, today comes from. Where trade thrived with Tripoli and other for a long time. And they created a system, but Palmer wrote a lot about the anthropology of the people. And yes, what is particular about Kano and many other Hausa states, they thrived between the 13th, 14th century up to the 16th century. So the archaeological data, I think, strongly tells about this period, but the magnificent, a different level of conservation still exists. Zaria, where I stay today, has that as a monument, but it tells a story about powerful political kings, the Sarkis, that are quite famous until the 19th century when the Sokoto Jihad, I think, transformed and created rupture and modified to install the Fulani Emirate system on the cultural landscape. But what is particular and connecting about the Hausa city-states is the fact that they have this visible archaeology, the city walls, sometimes surrounded, sometimes single layered, or sometimes multiple layers in Ningi for instance. But we recognize the use of Hausa is problematic. It first appeared here in the records, I think, in the 9th century. But then, today it means so much to identity, ethnicity, and what have you. But as archaeologists, we use the signature, the footprints, to talk about the Hausa states and people. Yes, they wear different particular kind of attire, for instance. They in terms of spirituality as well, in terms of trade and craftsmanship, they are famous, artists in terms of iron smelting and what have you. But in terms of architecture as well, the famous palaces of Kano, different places of interest in northern Nigeria. So we're paying attention to monuments as well, through the, and they have produced, different point of, terracotta figurines that tells different kind of, technology, social organization, but knowledge about adaptation and engagement with the society, with the environment and what have you. That is about political structuring, social organization and what have you. But within the, around Katsina and Daura, provided a fantastic amount and archaeological evidence that attracted Palmer in 1907 to excavate. But today we have no knowledge of where the excavated objects, fantastic as they are, where they are. But then from 1992 there was a follow-up research on that, and then Lizigan and his team excavated the mound. And that mound is particular about burial system. It provided enormous material in terms of elitist, exotic, that tells in a particular manner connection between people. And it remains, and the materials are in Jos, some undergoing archaeological analysis and what have you at different places. And the 8 tumuli were surveyed and well recorded, but I think 3 were excavated, and they provided information about settlement system of perhaps kings, very important people. But the grave goods that we have tells a lot about the individual that you can see. The bronze objects and what have you. But then beyond that is the materiality of technology that were interrogated. Just recently I was we were looking at diagnostic material that you can see the spike, something made of bronze, with something similar from the British Museum. Were they made by some people or a technology inspired by something somewhere? But it's something. We have 3 more years to make a powerful statement on this, but we're exploring, asking questions about this because they look alike, but the individuality, quite someone famous, quite important, with materials, whose source, and footprints, have connection. The medieval, the Arabic script on some of the excavated materials, quite interesting, and we are looking at that. Look at the Arabic script about connection with the Mediterranean and what have you. So the Zazzau kingdom, one of the famous, for instance, they provided this materials, and thanks to British Museum, and for giving this. I was privileged as a lecturer at Ahmadu Bello University to work at all these sites. The Kufena, for instance, was one of the predecessor capital of the Zazzau kingdom. About 50 kilometers away from the modern capital. They are all walled. That talks about the famous Queen Amina of Zazzau, the Amazons, the women kings, rulers, and what have you. Yeah, it's quite powerful. Yeah, from Zazzau, it provides one of the. But then throughout history, yeah, beginning from the Stone Age, perhaps stone materials on a different context, and cultural landscape. But there are issues, materials, data that we are looking at. Where do we place them in terms of making, production, and utilization? They have a lot of promises to help with our research. We are quite ambitious, and then, well, perhaps in terms of connection, with the spiked bangle anklet, from the Durbitakushe, but these are materials from neighboring Katagum Emirate in the modern Bauchi state, and other sites of Bauchi. Quite interesting in terms of typology, shape, and similarity. So we're looking at this and evaluating what kind of information they have for us. But that is something we promised the British Academy as well, that beyond the fact that we're exploring data from hugely underutilized research materials from these museums, we want to build collaboration. We want to connect countries, maybe reconnect. And these materials, I think, are helping us. They provide that agency for us to revisit the period, social connection, institutions, and countries. And about curatorial practice, how to deal with this, providing opportunities. But then, what about the explanation beyond the interpretations from scientists? Is the fact that we listen to the owners of these materials. How can we engage with them? So we subject these artifacts to interaction with the people with direct historical connections at different periods. We know how problematic it is, but it can give us some level of information about this. So as we engage people, it's about that ethical and professional responsibility to display and talk to people about what we've been researching. So exhibiting them so that we don't just keep them in the showcases, storages that we've been finding. So we've been interrogating with the modern communities and coming up with approaches and styles of talking to people at different layers. Today, this is a huge opportunity for me to talk to the global citizen, because the virtual audience, I'm sure, is following us. But in the UK as well, the community. But then it allows us to talk to the Nigerian, West African audience, peoples, and communities. And next year by summer, we intend to have an exhibition, and another one afterward in Norwich, issuing from these materials that we've been interrogated. So what story do we have for non-archaeologists, people that have no interest to antiquaries, but people, I cite this example, the sugarcane sailors that sees museum as an elitist, maybe house of fetish objects. How do we create stories that connects to them, connects them to their past legacies? So it's one opportunity we're exploring to see how we can engage with the people to tell their own stories using their own prescriptions and what have you. Upskilling styles for the next generation of archaeologists and curators, art historians in Nigeria to appreciate objects, but objects of interest to us, this project, and what have you, and how to preserve them. But the next generation of professionals do it together. And yeah, just to mention that a privileged exhibition that we did in July at Ibadan using the materials at the National Museum. Yeah, but looking at living and past legacies and what have you, highly successful and what have you. So this is one model, one thing that we are trying to find. So far, still at a preliminary stage, 1 year into the 4-year research, we are able, I think, to locate, it's still promises, but opportunities, and we can see some tangible directions, yeah, from the artifacts, ethnographic and archaeological, from the records at the archive, the Kew Gardens, at the British Museum. We are engaging with them more and deeper to appreciate West African communities. We know power. We know, yeah, kings, how organized they were, connected. International diplomacy didn't just start with modern city-state. The Kanem Borno states and empires provided a model, good quantum of material, I think, to talk about polities and societal organizations in West Africa. Yeah, from this excavated, these materials, and then we're appreciating movement of ideas across, yeah, micro movement and migration and macro, yeah, to see across the Sahara, yeah, with Northern Africa, for instance. Is it iron? Is it other things? We can do everything, but then there are reflections that are quite promising, but interaction, yeah, and adaptation, especially the Chad Basin, and yeah, where the difficult environmental terrain created challenges to people, they had to adapt. And this adaptation is a strategy that, yeah, if we're able to understand and locate, yeah, be helpful. So yeah, appreciating the burial system, yeah, state organization and what have you, yeah, and then exchange of goods and ideas. And yeah, we are here and thinking of the future. The MOOC, the social media, telling our story, the way we find it and interacting with people, the open source publications, yeah, for the scientific community, issues that we intend to. So follow us the next 3 years. Yeah, many things are different point of view, but it's to privilege our understanding of West African communities, yeah, over time. So at this point, yeah, permit me to particularly, yeah, appreciate, yeah, the 4 institutions that I've been working with, the 2 universities, the National Commission for Museums and Monuments, the British Museum that have given us open access, yeah, to their resources, yeah, and interrogating, yeah, what we have. We're deeply appreciative, yeah, of them. And we have built a research team, and yeah, maybe to acknowledge, yeah, the support of my senior research associate, Dr. Bolaji, who is in Nigeria talking about West African communities at a conference. But yeah, Ahmadu Bello University is area, my research center and what have you. But my beautiful family, yeah, Wargida Hawa and Amaria Zainab, yeah, and my children. So I thank you so much for listening. And yeah, I'm here to listen and respond to your questions, but let's interact. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. I'm very struck by, on the one hand, the parallels of the problems that you and the material you're having to do with other parts of the world where we've got old museum collections and old excavations and old ideas that we're trying to remold. But I'm also struck by the simple scale of both the area and the size and complexity of the sites. And that one of your sort of early excavation slides with you know, huge deep stratigraphy. There are a few places in the world that have that quality of long sequences where you can see change through time. And I just wondered with that, how you see this project, in a sense, feeding back out into the rest of the archaeological world. What are the things that you think might change our perceptions about your wonderful country?
Thank you. I think we recognize the fact that a lot has been done, and thanks to Graham Corner, Sutton, yeah, Thorstein Shaw, yeah, and Ko Ezenwa, and what have you. But some of the materials are outside of the archive that we are looking at. Yeah, quite interesting. They have given us fantastic background about what it is. But now we are deploying the modern technology of the 2025, for instance, to interrogate and do some forensics. But we recognize in terms of scope and diversity, the nature of northern Nigeria and the archaeological situation challenges that it provides. So we are sampling. We are interested in pockets of cultures and societies, and that's the reason why we paid attention to Daima. We're paying attention to not perhaps Taruga, but Bahamount in the valley, and then Rock. Yeah, a lot has been published, but then we're not doing everything. We are paying attention to specifics, to certain depth. Yeah, so if in the end we're trying to, if we achieve in dealing with 5 societies to appreciate diversity, social systems, settlement, organization, and what have you, I think, something that we can celebrate and then allow others. But we create research agendas from this that will allow another research project, to deal with this kind of. So, but Northern Nigeria, I think, provides these opportunities and challenges as well. But we started from huge volume. If you saw the inventory of sites, now we are narrowing, and we'll continue to narrow, until we are confident about the kind of data that we have for the, about the past.
Questions or comments? The mic will come across to you, so people.
Sam Nixon, British Museum. Fantastic lecture. Really great to hear that. And obviously, it's great working with you on this research and looking forward to the coming period. I just wanted to ask, you showed a few images of your public engagement activities that you're undertaking, some examples in Nigeria. Could you say a few words about what initial experiences you're having with that and how you anticipate, the further developments with that? What was the nature of some of the feedback and opportunities around that? Thanks.
All right, thank you. And actually for the project, we designed 2 key exhibitions that will allow us, give us the platform, I think, to handle this later. But this very one, was not a chance, an opportunity provided by our Associate Dean of Research, a small grant, I think for 3 days after our research outing at Ibadan with the Senior Research Associate and Professor Ann Hoa, a great opportunity was with us. So we said, how do we engage, train the next generation, but how do we display? Do they have concerns about a particular way of exhibiting materials from a particular different kind of context? That allowed us to interrogate, but to train on creating storylines and what have you. But the feedback, I think, from that modest exhibition and community engagement, that is something quite welcoming. The society, the Ibadan community, yeah, we were thrilled. Poetry, yeah, on the day of the lunch, yeah, were exhibited. And so they are now beginning to see museum not as that dead space where dead objects are. They are now beginning to feel that, yeah, you can do poetic things, dance, and engage with these objects in a very, not just technical, but innovative ways. But as we do this, yeah, the other side is, how do we ensure that there is best practice in terms of ethics and professionalism as we deal with this object, where the communities are involved in defining how it is. So it became democratic, but then there was that mutual respect, I think, in the way we privilege that everyone has a voice, yeah, in the way the agenda for the curation, yeah, upskilling, and the final outcome, yeah, is done. In fact, we allowed them to even dictate the title. It was exhibiting community, West African communities, but the participant, the people changed it to living legacies. Yeah, past and yeah, space and traditions. Yeah, we only mentored. So it brought us closer to the objects, yeah, and the people, yeah, whose past we are looking at, yeah, in a very respectable manner. Thank you. I hope it has.
Well, I've sat here and I must say I was sort of amazed how little I knew. And I think that I was very impressed by the illustrations. Technically, they were wonderful. But I feel I must now make a visit to the British Museum. I have seen stuff from Nigeria, I think, in the British Museum some time ago. But I must make another visit, and hopefully I will be able to put the things into some correct context. So thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe not do I have authority to speak? I can speak for BM, but what I know from our engagement, different kind of, in terms of diversity, but yeah, in terms of coverage, so much, yeah, about West Africa and Nigerian region, yeah, of different period, phases and what have you. So, Sam, you have someone to talk to maybe later. Yeah, quite rich. Yeah. So I could see, yeah, please. And Anuska, we can address 2, 3 more questions?
Yes, go on.
Okay, please.
Yes, hello. Aotaraya, SRU, University of East Anglia. I know we speak almost on day-to-day basis with Abubakar, but my question is, the first one is to build on Sam's. You said you did this community work in Nigeria. Do you have plans to do the same here for UK communities, for diaspora, but also for, for our British communities here as well? Because the project says that for sure, but I think also now is a time for these kind of initiatives. The second one is in Nigeria, do you also have plans to do with schools? So elementary, secondary schools to kind of make the impact more than just for professionals or just this. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm someone that fancies reflections from public archaeology. And I believe the best way, I think, as we communicate to ourselves, we should communicate to people that have very little business about this. And it always inspires me to think of solutions and new ways of curating, yeah, materials so that they become more relevant to the yeah, communities. But you know, we are dealing with issues that in a period that colonial discussions, and yeah, it's very important. And then I value, and this project values, yeah, I think talking to the avalanche of audience that we have. And we value the West African people, and we value the global citizens. And we know something interesting, the history of Nigeria itself, colonial history that connected us, makes it, I think, interesting, if we pay attention to the British audience as well. And so I have planned to do an exhibition in Jos, where the largest quantum of material for our research comes from next summer. And a few months after, another one at the Sainsbury's Research Unit in Norwich. And we are collaborating for the second leg with key stakeholders. And Sam Nixon is here. We intend to work with the British Museum as well. They are here. And other key stakeholders. But this project recognizes one thing: cultural diplomacy can come from different areas, apart from the history that connects Nigeria and many other West African communities with the United Kingdom. This is another privilege and opportunity to bring ideas, techniques of doing curation, of looking at challenges in the stores, of telling stories or understanding the stories from the stores, but how we package and prepare this for the interested audience is something that we're paying attention to. So there will be an exhibition in the UK months after the Nigerian exhibition, to talk to people about what we are doing, the outcomes as well, and then celebrate the friendship. And we said, cultural diplomacy. Thank you.
I'm Kwat Kwapna Dakup, Sainsbury Research Unit, University of East Anglia. Thank you so much for your presentation. Just to add to Awad's question about reaching out to schools. So University of East Anglia already has a widening participation. They have an outreach team that has an established relationship with schools in Norfolk. So I'm wondering if it's something you'd want to do, invite schools to the exhibition at the Sainsbury Center, because some of these students already come to the museum, but they may not have an experience with archaeological materials, especially from contexts outside of Europe. So it may be interesting for them to understand a history which is different from theirs, and to sort of appreciate this diverse history that is in the UK now.
We value all layers of society, and I have some months back engaged with the university's ethical protocol committee and talking about how we can engage beyond just the Sainsbury's space, but the Norfolk County, so that they benefit from this project in a way. But we have to operate within the resources, and Sainsbury's has a very excellent protocol of engaging with young school children and other vulnerable. So there are issues that we'll negotiate around as we implement the outcomes of this project. But they have the expertise, I think, and the mandate to do this, and we're in touch with them. But another way, I think, is, and we are building on something I think maybe inspired me, while conceiving this project. I was privileged to participate in the Ad Horse project when I was doing my PhD on depicting Africa. I think it's on Google. Today, we connected, I think, a school in the Republic of Benin and the City Academy in Norwich. And students from two sides were paired and connected, and it allowed them to appreciate how different and similar they are, but to appreciate Africa on one side and Britain. And I saw another opportunity with this project to depict Africa, in a very democratic, innovative space and constraint. So this project, I think, is still evolving. yeah, in terms of that, but we will deploy and connect, yeah, with stakeholders and interested parties to see that we deliver this. But yeah, how knowledge is not just kept for professionals, but for interested audience out there. So we are mindful of the audience, and then we'll continue to map and improve on who we approach, yeah, given the resources and time that we have. Thank you.
Very, very fine note to sum up what we've been saying. Can we thank our speaker again for splendid talk this evening?
Thank you very much.
I did notice that the next meeting will be on Thursday, 23rd of October 2025, when we will hear a paper, Church Vestments in Restoration England, Circulation, Conservation and Recreation, by our fellows, Professor James Clark and Emma Slocum. The meeting stands adjourned. There's a reception outside. Thank you.